While we're waiting, I'm going to try to share a the very first um, song that Robin Cisek had recorded and released. This is a song called Silver, and I'll let her explain a little bit more about this when she comes on stream because there's I think a very cool story that goes behind this. I hope you can
People
all hear it.
try to rearrange, make perfection in their mind. Things that they expect of me, it changes every time. Holding on to flawless, losing hope and faith and pride. But that is when I first met you. You're always by my side. I can't stop thinking about you. I will not live without you. People are unkind, leaving marks like a tattoo. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. Insecurities left behind, your support is something true. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I won't try to take the stage, feeling like I do. Those shining lights, they've got me blinded. You help me to get through. Trying to be perfect, just trying to get through. My light, my shield, my shining star, my strength that comes from you. I can't stop thinking about you. I will not live without you. People are unkind, leaving marks like a tattoo. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. Insecurities left behind, your support is something true. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. You're always by my side. Perfection in my mind. You'll always be flawless to me. People are unkind, leaving marks like a tattoo. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. Insecurities left behind, your support is something true. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I'll be silver in my mind, but I feel like gold when I'm with you. I feel like gold when I'm with you.
Siguli swagwag. Gala hindi niyo gets wagi sli wagi. Niwa kitaloda onida ug ungwehwanage. Ani bojo dance okinapi how inyonko yukudonas. Um, for those of you who are new here, we have a special guest today, and if you don't know what I just said, um, our tradition is always to introduce ourselves. We do that by giving our name, giving our nation, and our clan. And so I said, hello everyone, Galahindi is my name. It translates to clouds passing over. And I'm a member of the people of the Standing Stone First Nations here on the northern part of Turtle Island, the part that we now call Canada. And I am Bear Clan, and I'm on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Delaware, Huron, and Lenape nations. And I said Yanko for being here. And Yanko to Robin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here today.
So this is I'm gonna get you to introduce yourself because
Of
I mean
course.
anybody can do the Google synopsis, but I think that sometimes we have a preferred way that we like to introduce ourselves. So I'm going to let you start out with your introduction.
Thank you. My name is Robin Cisek. I'm a member and citizen of the Metis Nation of Alberta, and I'm a descendant of John Sabiston from the Red River settlement in Manitoba.
Nice. And so just so that you know, our community comes from around the world, so they're not all just within
Mhm.
Turtle Island. So for those in the community who are not familiar with what Métis is, can you give them a kind of a brief explanation of how what Métis means to you and how you fit into that identity?
Of course. So Canada recognizes a couple of Indigenous groups. So they recognize the First Nations people, the Inuit and the Métis. So the Métis are typically regarded as someone with European and Indigenous ancestry, but with ancestry that can be tracked back to the Red River settlements. So we kind of grew up in this tiny little settlement and we developed our own culture. So that's what Canada recognizes us as. So me myself, I am Ojibwe and Scottish Métis. So that's known as the Orkney Islands Métis. So it's a little bit more rare than maybe the French Métis are. But that's a little bit about my identity, and we have this different culture than a lot of other Indigenous groups as well. It's kind of a combination between settler and Indigenous.
Perfect. So now what I've done, because I can sometimes go go on, I've limited myself to 20 questions because
Cool.
um, that being said, if I know that your time is appreciated, and so
Oh, thank
if at
you.
any point it's going on too long, just tell me to shut up and say goodbye.
Oh, no,
Um,
never.
and
I'm gonna enjoy the chat today.
I'll completely understand because I can sometimes have interviews that are, my last interview was like 5 hours long
Oh, cool.
with an activist, and so I didn't want to kind of overextend your time. So
Mhm.
you let me know if there's any time that you're getting to that point of
Sure,
I
thank
should
you.
be going. So to start with, we'll start with the simple stuff, and we'll start from the beginning. So where did your parents meet?
Yeah, that's a good
I,
question. So my parents met in Regina, Saskatchewan. So my dad is Polish on his side, and then my mom is my First Nations Métis side. So yeah, they met in Saskatchewan, and they were living both in a rural area. And they met playing baseball actually.
nice. I was actually just kidding, but that but thank you.
Of course,
Um, I do know that you're a bit of an animal lover.
I am. Yeah.
So in particular, you like geckos.
Hmm.
You have a gecko. So tell us the story. What connected you to geckos, and whether you have any other animals?
For sure. So, as a musician, I found that I was traveling a lot, but I've always really loved animals. So, I wanted to get an animal that I wouldn't have to take for walks all day because sometimes I'm out doing gigs and stuff. So, something a little more low key. And I ended up getting really into lizards and geckos, and I really have a love for birds as well. I think that they're kind of an overlooked animal when it comes to pets. I think that they can be really beautiful and really funny and lots of fun to take care of. So I have my crested gecko back here. His name is Toes. He's in the small tank right now because he's still a baby, but we're gonna move him into the big tank when he gets bigger. But yeah, something I'm really passionate about is keeping reptiles and keeping animals and trying to spoil them rotten. So
Right. And so, did you say you have other animals?
I have a dog. It's a family dog.
Okay. Now, aside from music, I understand you also are a visual artist.
Mhm.
So you do drawing and painting, etc. So is
Yeah.
there a place where people can actually see your artwork?
To be honest, like I got a Bachelor of Education from the University of Alberta and I majored in art, so I got the opportunity to do a lot of model studies and that sort of thing. And to be honest, my music has been taking up so much of my time. I haven't had a real opportunity to sit down and paint anything recently. But a lot of the time I share my stuff online on Instagram and that sort of thing. There's been a few times last year that I went to a few markets to sell a couple things, but for the most part, I just kind of do it for myself.
For fun.
Mhm.
Okay. So animal lover, visual artist, and a model. So how is the modeling part of your journey going? I think I saw a clip of you on a runway at one point, and
Mhm.
some also physical um, modeling.
Yeah, that's something that I really enjoy. I really have a passion for styling and fashion choices. I think it's a really cool way to kind of express yourself, and I've always had a passion for that. So getting to model is just an extension of that, and getting to show who I am. I think it's really cool to get to wear people's creations and show them off. And I'm just a huge fan of art and creating things and getting to be involved with people that create fashion is a really cool thing for me.
Right. Yeah, someone in the chat is saying geckos are awesome.
Oh, good.
Now, from what I understand, in your words, you said that you got kind of pushed into the music industry basically as a
Mhm,
result of, having some health issues when you were younger, because essentially you were an athlete, right? You played hockey,
yeah,
basketball, volleyball, soccer, um,
mhm.
so very outdoorsy too. So why music as far as what you gravitated to as opposed to other professions?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I always was, like, really into visual art, so that was also something that it kinda pushed me more towards the visual art as well. But yeah, I used to play hockey, I used to play all kinds of sports, just was a really active person, and I got a diagnosis of thoracic outlet syndrome when I was younger, so that was it's a genetic condition, and it actually means that you have, your vertebrae have extended from your spine. So it gets tangled in all the nerves and arteries, and it can cause nerve damage and a lot of chronic pain. So I basically got told after 27 doctors and specialists that I needed to get a pretty major corrective surgery. So I ended up getting that surgery done, and in my high school, they had a couple options, and they decided that to take wood shop or mechanics or something like that, I would be putting myself in danger and possibly other students because they were worried about my physicality. So I ended up joining the music program and I really loved that. And it was an amazing opportunity for me to kind of express how I was feeling going through my health issues and dealing with my mental health while going through that. So then it kind of all was just history. Like it just felt so right and getting to express myself in that way. And it's forever been a really good outlet for me.
Right. Now, speaking of the mental health, your first EP, which was Delicate Minds, released in 2021, was really focused on that, right? It was about the whole mental health um,
Hmm.
things, and you tried to twist that into a positive um, lyrically with the songs off that. So,
Hmm.
having written about mental health and having the personal experiences that you've had, has that led you to do some speaking engagements or discuss it within your shows? And if so, what's your
Yeah.
response like, or has it been like?
Yeah, so, like, when I was going through my health problems, I realized that I was being pretty hard on myself and, like, kind of in the dumps, and I thought that that was a really good opportunity to kind of talk about that, but I'm the type of person that tries to see the positive in most things, and I find that some music can be quite negative, and I think that it lends itself well to people's healing and resiliency and their ability to kind of manifest positivity when they're listening to music with a positive spin on things. So I really wanted to make that a big highlight of the album. But yeah, like since I released that album, I've had so many opportunities to kind of talk about mental health and kind of raise awareness for the healing part of things, which has been incredibly rewarding. Every year, I donate a performance to a local event called the Bridge of Life, which is a suicide prevention event where we do a candlelight walk across the bridge and we honor those that we've lost and those people who are survivors of suicide attempts. So getting to connect with that community has been amazing. It can be a really hard event to be a part of because there's a lot of tears and a lot of really emotional moments, but I feel really good about getting to share music and having people connect with it and help with their healing journey. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I know that there's a Mohawk artist named Shawnee Kish,
Yeah.
and she or they often talk about music as a healing process and
Mhm.
using it as therapeutic in a way. So I'm imagining that came across in your writing as a way of therapy in a sense of
Oh, for sure.
the way that you what the subject you chose to sing about or write about and how it ultimately come out in the end. We got a whole EP out of it because there's a lot of different avenues of mental health that we
Oh,
can
yeah,
discuss, right?
totally.
Now, your your first recording, if I'm not mistaken, that was put out was Silver, which we
Mhm.
had listened to just as you were coming in.
Mhm.
Um, so tell me what inspired that song and its meaning, because if you're okay with sharing it, because from
Of course.
what I understand is that part of it is um, really focused on the community that surrounded you while you were going through those hard times.
Yeah, so yeah, that was directly like the reason why I wrote it was to kind of say thanks to everybody that made me feel better about what I was going through and supported me through those tough times. I think I wrote that song directly after I had gone through all that, so it was still really heavy on my mind, and I think that the situation with my health problems really impacts even the music I write now. But yeah, it was just a big thank you to my mom for supporting me, my every all my friends that had surrounded me, my family. I remember they sent me flowers when I was in the hospital. Everybody kind of rallied around me and tried to get me back on my feet after the surgery because it was quite a bit of recovery, but having those people around me really made it a lot easier.
Right. And we always get hear songs about our partners or our
Mhm.
mother and fathers and people best friends. But to write a song that is inclusive to the whole community that surrounds you is a very indigenous kind of sentiment, right? Because we are our teachings are it takes a community to raise a
Takes a
child. It takes a
village for sure.
community to help each other.
Mhm.
So thank you for that song. That's
Oh,
was
thank
great.
you.
So Delicate Minds in 2021 would have come out probably right after the pandemic started.
Yeah, so that one was
So
a rough one to create.
So did that change your process for releasing and promoting this album?
Yeah, it was really interesting. I was working with producers for that project, and we were at the point where I couldn't go and like work with them. We weren't allowed to be in the same room, and when we were, we had to put masks on and stand a certain distance away. So it was a little bit of a challenge to actually get the music finished and get it all written and recorded. But yeah, I think it just lent itself well to also the meaning of the album as a whole. Being distance from people really does have an effect on a lot of people's mental health. So I feel like the vulnerability that came from the COVID situation really fed itself into the album really well. So it ended up being a positive thing, even though it was such a challenge to get the ball rolling and get that recorded.
the, oth- the other side of that, or the flip side of the pandemic, is that a lot of events like award shows and festivals went online,
Mhm.
which made them more accessible
It
to a
did, yeah.
wider audience than maybe would have seen it had the COVID not happened. So there's a little silver lining in
For
what
sure,
happened.
I feel like everybody just missed the one-on-one, so it's nice to be back out and doing things again, but yeah, it was interesting to have to learn, like, a whole new performance as well, like, having to perform online was very interesting, not seeing people's, like, direct reaction to you. You'd
Right.
sing something or say a joke and then have to wait, like, a few extra
Did
seconds for
did they
people to
laugh?
react. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or the claps. You don't hear the claps, right?
Yeah.
And you don't get that feedback the same way.
Mhm.
Now, Delicate Minds having been released, we also know that you went into other is not your first. journey into the music realm because again we talked about Silver, which was came out in 2018, and then you also did Concentric
Hmm.
and Waiting on You in 2019,
Yeah.
and then even after Delicate Release came out, you also did Zeus, which
Hmm.
apparently you're wrapping up all your shows with that one, right? Is the
Yeah, that's my favorite one to end on.
so what was your thought process and what songs you're going to actually release as singles versus ones that you hold back until you get out enough for an album or an EP?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So I guess for me, like, Um, a lot of planning goes into when I want to create an album. For me, it's really important to have a really cohesive idea. So when I go into making an album, I definitely have the mindset of these need to be connected and I want this to be a cohesive project. But when I'm doing singles, I kind of am like, okay, like let's make a one off here, a one off there to kind of be its own little project. So for me, I feel like I think about what I want to accomplish first and then move forward with creating the music. I also think like financial things are a lot of the reason why I decide to release a single or an album. Like as many artists know, albums can be quite expensive to create. So when I either have the funding or have the money to be able to do an album, it's such a treat for me because I get to kind of create this whole new world around it. Um, but yeah, does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah. So now you've also, aside from the singles that you did, you've done some collabs. Um, Melody MacArthur,
Mhm.
you did the Glow Up and TG. You did Believe in Us.
Yeah.
So how did those collabs come about?
Yeah, so I think well, the first one with Melody, we were always in the same circles and she kind of had the same idea of creating sort of like girl power music or really empowering songs too. So it just seemed like a really natural fit for her to invite me on and it was so cool to get to work with her and kind of see her creative process and get to add my little flair with the background vocals. And then with Tia, we kind of created the project from the ground up. So we wanted to work with a female producer to kind of create another really empowering girl power song. So that one was really fun, and it's really fun to get to perform to young women as well to kind of boost their confidence and allow them to see the value in themselves.
Now, do you have a process that you think through when you decide on what who to collab with, or is it one of those, I'm going to take every opportunity to collab with anybody and everybody that I can?
Yeah, I think for me, I am pretty picky about who I collab with. I think from a writing standpoint, you have to have that click where you guys are kind of on the same mindset and you want to kind of create the same sort of projects. I think for me as well, like getting later into my music career, it's important for me to have kind of a cohesive brand and a cohesive kind of what people are expecting from me musically. So I'm being a little more picky to pick someone who's kind of trying to be on the same path as me musically in the same genre. Um, but I definitely have worked with other people and dabbled in songwriting and helping other artists as well, which has been really cool to get to go outside my genre.
Right. So that I was going to ask, if you're kind of sticking to a certain sound, or do you see at some point that you might branch out to something that's a little outside of your comfort zone?
I definitely feel like with this project, my sound has changed a little bit just organically. I think just with my own artistic growth and being able to produce this stuff on my own, I think that it's definitely changed. Although I can always sort of see myself in the alternative pop genre. I really enjoy getting to work with really strong vocals and have that be the highlight of the music. And that seems to be really representative of pop music and then adding a little bit of an alternative flair in my melodies or maybe some of the production or the music behind it has been really cool.
Right. Now, speaking of EP and album releases, you are an independent artist. And so this latest release, Tempered, which just came out May 30th, is truly your work, right? I mean, you went from the writing to the recording to the producing even, and now I'm assuming that you're doing the marketing and the promotion of it.
Mhm.
Um, what uh, what was the inspiration in putting "Play Dirty" as your first single and music video out for this one?
Yeah, so Play Dirty, that was actually the first song that I ever produced on my own. So, that was kind of what kicked off the project in my eyes. Um, from my perspective, it was the one that kind of started the whole journey behind me wanting to have a huge say in my production and produce most of the songs. I've always had a lot of say in the writing. Most of the songs that I've put out, I've done 100% of the lyrics and the melodies, or I've worked closely collaborating with other artists that have been featured on the album as or the songs as well. But yeah, for me, it felt like Play Dirty should be first because it really set the tone for the album for me.
Right. So now taking a lot more of the control of the production and stuff, right, from start to finish, essentially. Did you find that there was a difference in the whole process from recording Tempered versus Delicate Minds?
Mhm. Oh, definitely. I think for me, it was super challenging. I really enjoy getting to challenge myself in my music career and learn new things, but I think this is probably one of the biggest challenges that I've taken on. I went into the project thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll produce one or two and then I'll put the album out and kind of see what people think. And then it kind of took off from there, and I ended up producing 5 out of the 7 completely independently. Um, but yeah, it was definitely an interesting process. I feel like with my own production, I got to be a little bit more vulnerable. I felt comfortable to share how I was feeling about certain events or tell a little bit more stories from my life. I was more comfortable sharing them, I think, because I didn't have to explain them to another person who was collaborating with me, which was really cool to get to explore. Although I really enjoy doing collabs, I feel like I shared stories that felt truly mine.
Right. So did you enjoy taking on all the roles from behind the scenes that people don't normally see, or do you wish you'd had someone to take on some of those responsibilities?
I do, but it was a lot of stress. I put a lot on myself trying to finish this project up, but I'm really happy I did it, and I think it'll open some new doors for me in the future.
Right. Now, like you said, you've been singing now from high school, right?
Mhm.
Which kind of, I had a chuckle when I heard an interview and you said, I started late in life in the music. You know, when you get my age, late in life is you're a kid. Anyways, um, so you're young, you're indigenous, you're a female, and you're an advocate for mental health. Wrap that all together in one package and put it out there. What is the biggest hurdles that you're coming across?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think hmm. For me, to be completely honest, being an independent artist, and being a woman, like, getting taken seriously, is a really big part of, getting to be a musician in this industry. I think that it's a very male-run industry, unfortunately. So to make an impact, you have to be better than the next person, and I think being Indigenous also leads to that as well. I'm very white passing, so there's a lot of people who don't know I'm Indigenous, so I'm very lucky that way that I get to, um, kind of people don't notice that right away about me. There's a lot of Indigenous artists that are they present Indigenous and they have more struggles than even I do. But I feel like when you're in this kind of industry, you have to work harder than maybe the white men who are next to you. They have it a little bit easier. But I think with learning my own production to be able to speak the language that people are speaking when they create the music has helped me a lot. I also think like financial things, like it's hard to be an artist and to continue to make your art, and that costs money, like to get things mastered, to get photo shoots done for projects and album covers and that sort of thing costs money. So it's a challenge to kind of have the business side of things under control while maintaining your artistic integrity and trying to be in that creative headspace. So all of it's kind of a balance.
Right. I was going to bring that up at one point, but now that you mentioned it, um, you are, I mean, let's face it, not an obvious representation
Hmm.
of what people see or think of as being indigenous. Um, but it is also the first thing that you say when you introduce
Hmm.
yourself. I am a Métis artist, and so you're very proud of that
I
background and,
am, yeah.
and that part of your identity. how much of that feeds into the hurdles that you have to go up against? I mean, women have always had an issue, right?
Mhm.
In the music industry, but being indigenous on top of that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll tell your listeners a little bit of a story about me. So, when my mom grew up, she grew up in rural Saskatchewan. So she was off skinning muskrats and doing all these things that were typical for Métis culture and Métis kids growing up. She would have kitchen parties. Her grandpa played the fiddle, and they used to play a lot of music and spend time together and do all the things that were associated with Métis culture that brought our communities together. But she felt like that was kind of her own little bubble, and she couldn't share her indigenous culture outside of that. So there was a lot of people who didn't know that my family was indigenous. My grandma, my great grandma, was also very protective of the family, so she wouldn't share so much of her culture, and she was full blood First Nations. She didn't share a whole lot of her culture with her family just because she was worried about how people would take us. So now that I'm in the position that I am, getting to share that part of me means a lot to me and means a lot to my family because they didn't quite get to be that open about it. So it's really important for me and my identity to have that be the first thing that I share, just because I'm so proud to be a part of the community, and also because of what my mom and my grandparents didn't really get to share.
Right.
So saying that, like, I think, a lot of the challenges that I've faced, has been just a lot of people who don't really understand, the culture or how to take care of us. I think a lot of times people get hired to be kind of the token indigenous person performing at some kind of show, and I think that we're just there for the representation and not really appreciated for what our culture is. People might be doing it for the wrong reasons, so that can be kind of challenging to combat, to sort of explain to people like, when you hire an indigenous person, it's not just about making you look good. Oh, I have an indigenous person on the roster, but you need to be doing it to for the right reasons. You need to be supporting these communities and thanking these caretakers of the land for what you've been given, and really appreciate the people that came before you. So I think that should be the reason why indigenous people are hired for things, not just for the look. Like, I think that
Sure.
there's a lot of people going, "Oh, it just makes me look good," like, politically, sort of, and I don't really love
It's
that.
checking off the box.
Exactly. So I don't love that. That's been kind of a challenge to make people see, like, you also have to do the work if you're gonna hire an indigenous person. You have to make sure your land acknowledgement is actually appreciating, you're not just reading from a script. So there's a lot of challenging things that go with hiring an indigenous artist, and as a white presenting person, I try my best to be able to share that with non-indigenous and white people, to try and help them through that so that indigenous people don't have to experience that. So I feel like that is my job as a Métis person, to kind of be in between those two realms, is to take the awkward questions or the comments and try to educate people as much as I can.
Sure. I know that like Robbie Robertson used to say is that, he was taught be proud of being indigenous, just be careful who you tell.
Mhm.
Because it's not a selling point in many cases, right? I mean,
Mhm.
we're seeing a little change in the trends of society, but we've still got a long ways to go.
Mhm.
And I think for my parents' generation or your grandparents' generation probably is the reason they didn't teach us a lot was ultimately to protect us,
Yeah.
because it was illegal for us to speak our language or to practice ceremony
Mhm.
and in any kind of venue that wasn't on a reserve, right? Um, so if you don't teach the language to the younger generation, then they can't get in trouble.
Mhm.
I think that was the thought process is that they just wanted to protect us, but at the
Oh,
same
for sure.
time, what's ultimately happened is now we've got a gap between the generations who are quite familiar with their background and their ceremonial teachings to the ones who are now trying to reclaim it
Mhm.
and bring back and revitalize our languages and after we've lost so much. So yeah, Now, you also you played at the Calgary Pride in 2022.
I did,
Um,
yeah.
so, is this a community you feel a personal connection with, or is it something you just felt like you wanted to be supportive of this community?
So I am identify as a straight person. So I'm unfortunately not a member of the community, even though I enjoy getting to be invited to these events, and I think that there's so much love and support that's present there. But it was really important to me to be supportive of that community. I have a lot of people who do identify with that community. So I really want to be there and supporting them. And the music that I create, I also want to keep in mind that there are other people listening to this who do identify with those cultures or those communities. And I want to make sure that they feel empowered and loved and that they're able to accept themselves as well.
Yeah, I think allyship is key, right?
Hmm.
And being a musician, you have a platform where you can share that allyship. I
Hmm.
mean, there are so many artists who actually are now um, amplifying those voices more than ever before. So the LGBTQ and Two Spirit communities really appreciate when artists can do that, right?
Hmm.
Now, I have to ask this because I heard this story and I just thought it was kind of a funny story
Hmm.
and wanted to hear how this came about. But you have hanging on the wall a signed or autographed boobs
Oh my
from a
goodness.
band
Yes,
called Starcrawler.
I do.
So, what happened? How did that come about?
Oh my gosh, I've now done a few interviews about this and like it's been so fun. So I had the honor of opening for a band called Starcrawler that came in from LA for a couple shows in Edmonton around Halloween. So what happened was the lead guitarist, his name is Henry, and he was dressed as Elvira for one of the Halloween shows. So he had a nice fake pair of boobs that he was wearing under his costume because Elvira, you have to like that's
Right,
her
that's
whole
who she is.
persona essentially. So anyways, we ended the show and I was like, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if I got these amazing people to sign something?" And I have to say they are the most amazing down to earth people that are super famous. Like it was very cool to get to kind of speak with them and hang out with them. I was like, "Oh, okay, well, wouldn't it be cool if I got them to sign something?" And then I'm looking around the room like, "Oh, ha ha ha, wouldn't it be so funny if I got them to sign this?" And one of them rips it out of my hand and starts signing it for me. And I was like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do with these?" So I ended up framing them on my wall, and it's just the best story and the best memory. So,
And probably one of the most original things you have hanging on the wall.
oh, for sure. And I'll never get rid of it. Even if they become the most famous band, I'm keeping them.
Now, speaking of other artists, is there an artist that you often get compared to? And do you think that the comparisons are fair?
That's a good question. I think as an artist, I have actually been challenged to find somebody that sounds like me. I think that I've heard that my voice is pretty unique, so people have a hard time comparing me. I've heard Tones and which is the artist that does the Dance Monkey
Mhm.
song. I've had my voice compared to hers. I've also heard Beyonce, which I don't see, but that's pretty cool to get compared to these two artists that are doing really, really well. I think me personally, my artistic style is inspired by so many different artists, from the artists my mom and dad used to listen to Stevie Nicks. I really like an artist called Banks. I'm a huge fan of Hall and Oates. They're one of my favorite artists, the two of them. So just many inspirations going into one project is definitely where I sit. And if anybody has any comparisons when you listen to my music, let me know because I'm always looking for new inspirations.
Well, and that's what I was having a hard time with because I was thinking you do have a very unique style, and I guess that blend of different influences of genres sets you kind of apart from most pop artists.
Mhm.
So I was trying to think of who you sounded like, and I've really haven't come across anyone who's quite got your sound.
Mhm. I hear that a
Um,
lot. Yeah, I'm on the hunt still.
yeah, but I did hear you do some covers of some artists that I
Mhm.
was somewhat surprised about because I don't hear a lot of people like Jen Wigmore
Oh yeah,
from New
I
Zealand.
adore her.
We got to see Jen Wigmore in Toronto
Oh really?
when
Oh,
she
I
was
bet it was a
doing
good show.
yeah, she had the crowd in tears at the her last
Oh
her
my
like her
gosh.
in her final song, her final encore was I Love You, or I Will Love You. And
Mhm.
she told the story before she
Oh,
sang the song.
cool.
And so when you have the context of the story behind the song and you listen to it, it hits a little bit harder.
Mhm.
Um, and then ZZ Ward. Um,
Oh yeah.
I was thinking you've picked some great artists that I really,
Thank
really
you.
enjoy. I think Chin Wigmore and CC Ward, they don't get covered that often.
No, and they're so
I
talented and unique.
Yeah, so I was really surprised to see the video clips of you doing those. Um, so as we discussed earlier, you have more than a pretty face. You're
Thank you.
a singer, a songwriter, now a producer. You're on a mental health advocate model, a game developer. You've got a game,
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that
and
far to call me that, but
and you do some mentoring. So what is the? Tell us a little bit what the mentoring is involved. What is
yeah, for
involved?
sure. So I have been very lucky that I've had some really amazing mentors going into the music industry. And I'm also someone who is very against the whole gatekeeping thing where people are trying to keep private their connections and the way they've done things. I think the more that we share as artists in the industry, the more that we are able to accomplish. If you lift each other up, it's easier to go places. So for me, mentoring was just a natural thing for me to get into. I really enjoy getting to do that. So I work with the Music BC organization on their Jumpstart program, and they send me artists that are in BC to mentor, and then they actually compensate me for getting to do that. So it's just an amazing opportunity for me, and I get to share all this knowledge and help another artist. So it's been really cool to get to do that. But I think my main focus for mentoring is the business side of the music industry because I think there's a lot of artists that I talk to, they've got the artistic side down. They know who they are as an artist, what they want to write about, the music they want to create. But when it comes to the business side or making sure that they get paid from radio or they can get on radio or kind of those sort of things, I think that that's where they struggle a little bit. And that's where I can share my knowledge.
Right. Yeah, we're running into a digital world now.
Hmm.
So there was a time when artists had boxes of CDs that they took on tour with them and sold at shows.
Hmm.
Um, I is merchandise really sustainable feature of being an artist now?
I think that it is, but you have to be quite clever about it. So you have to sort of think about, okay, if I buy 200 shirts, where am I going to keep them? And then you have to have the upfront cost. I think that a lot of artists now are doing smaller items. So when people are spending $20 to come to a show and they see a $5 sticker, they're able to put in a little extra money just to get something small to support artists. I don't see a whole lot of people buying CDs anymore, which is unfortunate because that used to be the main merchandise that artists used to sell. I think records are getting more popular, but again, that's such an output of money to even get a couple of records. But I think that it's definitely changed the atmosphere of merchandising. And I think that artists are being smarter about having different like levels of merchandise to something a little more expensive and something a little cheaper. I definitely think it's a good idea to have some merch. There's a lot of artists or a lot of fans that want to support in that way and show their support with something that they've bought. But yeah, I think you got to be clever.
I think CDs nowadays are maybe more of a novelty.
Yeah.
It's something that you can open up and have the artist sign. I mean, if you
Mhm.
get a CD at a show, that's different than, going to Amazon and buying it online and just getting a CD
Exactly.
that's just, it's a CD of an artist that I could have just downloaded on iTunes
Mhm.
or Spotify or whatever it happens to be. So that's I think that's the personal touch
Yeah, I
is
think you're
is
right.
autographed CDs is one thing that's a little bit more memorable to a fan.
Mhm.
So we've been, let's see. Now you've been singing a while, released singles, EP, full album now. What acknowledgments have you received along the way? Because I know that you got awards for your music video for Memories.
Mhm.
What else has happened for you?
I was CBC Searchlight's top 100 in Canada 2 years in a row, which was really, really cool. I've gotten recognized by the Indigenous Superstars Award, which was run by Rhonda Head one year. So that was pretty cool. I was their Rising Artist of the Year. And then I've done quite a bit with radio, so I've been really lucky to get to share my music in that way.
I've I know Rhonda had
Oh, yeah.
not personally, but I know her through a lot of the sources that I'm kind of mixed in with.
Mhm.
Um, did you like working with her?
I honestly haven't gotten the most chance to work with her personally, but I know that she is a really, really awesome person. I've heard from many people who've worked with her before, so it was really cool to get to be recognized in that way by someone who is so recognizable in the Indigenous music industry. So it's special for me.
Right. I guess I'm thinking back to say uh, this whole wave of what we call pretendians happening right
Mhm.
now. I know that she's very strongly opinionated in
Mhm.
regards to people that she perceives as pretendians. So uh, being someone who doesn't look really indigenous, I wondered if that would have a play on how she interacts with you.
I haven't
It's
experienced that. Like, to be honest, I think I'm really lucky. Um, my legal name is the name that belongs to the my ancestral connection in the Red River settlement, and I'm very lucky. I've also had a family who has um taken our genealogy very seriously, so getting to do those paperworks on our very large family tree, I can trace back my relatives to a very, very long time ago. So I'm very lucky in that way, which a lot of Indigenous people aren't lucky in that way. I think that's made it a lot easier for me to talk about those issues as an Indigenous person in the industry. So I've been able to back up my claims in a way that a lot of people don't have the opportunity to do. So professionally, I haven't had a lot of issues with that, but definitely online from people who don't know me or don't take the time to ask me where my citizenship lies or where my ancestors are connected to. It's definitely been an issue for me online. I've had to make a couple posts about, hey, this is who I am, this is who I'm connected to. Here's some of my documents.
right.
But you know, some people just don't know you and they just want to be mean, you know, hurt people,
Sure.
and that's kinda how it goes
It's
sometimes.
really easy to judge, right?
Yeah.
And that's I find even amongst our own people, we've had people, uh, for example, some of the Buffy St. Marie, for example,
Mhm.
that was a huge story for the last year and a half or 2 years when a documentary came out about her, and to see how quickly people jumped on her
Mhm.
and judged her so harshly um, after all of that she has done to raise
Mhm.
awareness for Indigenous peoples. It was a bit heartbreaking for me
Yeah.
to see that reaction from our own people. But
Mhm.
like you said, it's sometimes people just it's easier for them to be mean than it is for them to delve into our old teachings and traditions and
Mhm.
so back to your latest release, Tempered. Um, and the fact that you released Play Dirty is the first video. Do you see yourself releasing some? I know that you got some lyric videos already out for it
Yeah.
as well. Do you see yourself releasing some actual music, some more music videos for
I
some of the
actually
singles?
do have a music video I'm hanging on to for a little bit. So my song Rumor, I'll be releasing a music video in the next couple weeks. So I've been kind of hanging on to that one because that one's got a little more meaning for me. So going back to the pretendian thing, I've been called out a couple times online, and I wanted to sort of create this song Rumor to talk about how people talk about you behind your back and make up these stories without talking to in person. So that was my little angry song to kind of take the power back. So I kind of created a little video that visualizes how people kind of hide behind their phones and they like to say some stuff. But I wanted this to be my little mad song to kind of take my power back.
A bit angsty.
Yeah.
So Rumors actually it makes sense because Rumor is the one song that you don't have a lyric video for.
Hmm.
So it seems like you had them for all the songs except for that
Yeah.
one.
So
So
that one's
so
in the
that so
works.
that's why. Okay.
Hmm.
Make, now your Métis, which ultimately is an indigenous identity, and
Hmm.
this is what I was saying earlier. I had set this question up because I knew that it was going to be something that we would ultimately talk about. So I said, you're Métis, and ultimately as an indigenous identity in what we now call Canada, you start with that introduction. That identity is part of your introduction. And are there ways that you bring that identity to the attention of your fans? And as you've already answered, how important is being the Métis identity in your family?
Hmm.
So you've kind of already answered that question, but are there other ways aside from, your introductions at shows,
Hmm. I think for me with this album that I'm putting out, I think I've dived into being a little more sharing of my identity as a Métis person. For example, the Rumor song that was sort of a direct
right,
connection to my Indigenous identity. Also, Leave Me in the Cold that I ended up writing after my mom shared a story about her experience in Saskatchewan. So I feel like my music is lyrically and thematically more connected to who I am as a Métis person. I also try and make sure that I'm wearing my beaded earrings when I can and that sort of thing, and also talking about issues. Like, I think mental health is a big issue in a lot of Indigenous communities that doesn't get talked about enough. So when I get the opportunity to perform in Indigenous communities too, getting to share those messages is really important for me. But I think for me, my Indigenous identity is more about talking about my culture and sharing those things. Even when I get to introduce songs or get to kind of tell my own story about things, I spin it in there and try to share as much as I can. Recently, I performed for the Indigenous Peoples Day ceremony here in Edmonton. The Tell Us World of Science puts on this really cool show when I get to perform in their light dome. So I have somebody putting on a light show and lasers and everything while I'm singing, which is like one of my favorite performances all year. But in that case, there's a lot of non-Indigenous people in the room. So if I get the opportunity to wear my sash and share a little bit about the colors that I picked that represent me or why we wear the sashes or that sort of thing, I always take the opportunity to do that.
right. So Leave Me in the Cold um, really is about the Twilight Tours, right? Or what were called the Twilight Tours, and that's
Hmm.
when the police would take people and they would just drive them out in the middle of nowhere and leave them
Yeah.
no shoes, no coat, whatever, in the middle of
Hmm.
wintertime, and oftentimes they would not make it back.
Hmm.
So that is a really it's a good song. I don't hear too many even indigenous artists who've actually written songs about it though.
Hmm.
There's a lot of writing about Highway 16,
Yeah.
um, and the Highway of Tears, as we call it. And there's a lot of songs written about missing and murdered Indigenous women in
Hmm.
residential schools. But the actual Twilight Tours, I think this is the first time I've actually heard anyone write a song specifically about that aspect of
Hmm.
what Indigenous people have to deal with.
Yeah, I haven't heard any songs about it either. And it's kind of funny. I started writing the song on my own, and I just had kind of had the lyrics of the chorus come to me. And I'm very close with my mom. So she's the one that always hears my lyrics first. So I ended up reading it to her kind of as a poem, and she felt like she should share this story with me, which really helped me to continue writing the song, and it kind of took on new meaning from there. So when she shared that with me, I was really moved by her experience, and she was telling me this is one of the reasons why me and my brothers couldn't share that we were Indigenous, was for fear that this would happen to us in a rural area. So she was very careful about protecting herself and her family when that was happening when she was younger. So I thought that it was important to write about. It was another song that I really wanted to spin into kind of a resiliency and taking my own power back. So although I wanted to address that this happened, I also wanted the verse to kind of talk about crawling back to your throne and getting back to your power and who you are. So I wanted to kind of work in some metaphors about reclaiming who we are as Indigenous people and our own strength, even though a lot of the victims couldn't do anything about what was happening to them. That's just kind of who I am as a songwriter, is I want to empower the listeners.
Right. So that is, since such a significant song, should we share that one for the community
Sure.
to hear?
Sure.
Let me just go presents, share here.
Reason why she wasn't able.
There we go.
So this is another original. This is one of the ones that I produced. And this one, my mom really likes this one for a particular story. As many of you know, I'm a Metis person. My mom's family is Indigenous. And so there was something that happened in Saskatchewan a long time ago when my mom was younger. And it
Not that long
is
ago.
probably the direct reason why she wasn't able to tell people she was Métis.
Performing
There was a lot of
live is hard to
police
talk
officers
sometimes, but
driving
yeah,
out and
wasn't
taking
that long
Indigenous
ago.
people and leaving them in the snow and just leaving them to die. So I wrote the song and all the words kind of came to me, but when my mom shared that story, shared that story with me, it kind of became something else when I continued to write it. So I hope that you guys like this one, and this one's called Leave Me in the Cold, and I'll just clear my throat real quick.
The ice shooting down to my heart. My veins are frozen solid from the frost that you started. I feel alone. I'm lost with no home, 'cause the ice has seeped behind the doors and buried my throne. What am I gonna do when you leave me broken hearted, discarded, out in the rain like garbage? When you leave me in the cold, when you leave me in the cold, when you leave me in the cold to find my demons all alone. All I see is white, but I have to try, John. My legs are still refusing, they won't do what I want. So I'll go, I'll drag myself home. If I have to claw and crawl my way back to my throne. What am I gonna do when you leave me broken hearted, discarded, out in the rain like garbage? When you leave me in the cold,
Wow, there was a little bit of that Buffy vibrato there
Oh
at the
yeah.
end.
Cool, thanks.
That was neat. Okay, so what what's in the future for Robin Cisek? I know that for the next little while, you're probably going to be really just pushing this tempered, and getting the music out there everywhere. But then what happens?
Yeah, I'm hoping to keep going with this one. I'm really, really enjoying performing the new music live, especially Rumor. I just feel like I can bring so much more attitude and energy to the stage. So I'm looking forward to keeping doing that. But I think after this season's over and the shows and promotion kind of slow down a little bit, I'm gonna head back to the studio and see what I can come up with. I think now that I've done a full project as a producer, I think I'm a lot more confident in going forward and creating a couple singles moving forward. I also have a couple collabs in mind I want to do, so I'm hoping that I can move forward with those and bring everybody some new music.
Yeah, I read something about Razor Agoza.
Oh,
Were,
who?
there was something I saw online. Your name came up with
Oh,
Razor
cool.
Agoza's name. I can't remember what it was now, but that would be a neat collab.
Oh, cool.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know who she is, but Edmonton's got quite a music scene already, right? My last two musicians, artists that I interviewed were both from Edmonton.
Oh, awesome.
Um, Kaylee Jade
Oh, yeah.
um,
She's, oh my gosh, I adore her. She's so nice.
and hip hop artist Plex.
Okay,
Um,
sick.
so yeah, they love the scene there. There are lots of venues to perform at.
Mhm.
So, I guess lastly, what do you want people to know or acknowledge you for? Um, how do we want to remember Robin Cisek, as we say?
I think that that's a really good question. And hmm, I think I can think of 2 things. So, professionally, as a musician, I would like people to know, that I'm really dedicated. I like learning new things. I like, working with other artists. I want to continue doing my music and learn and grow and get to keep doing this. I think as an artist that people get to watch, I think I would like to be known as an artist that they could come talk to after a show, that enjoys speaking and connecting with people. And I'm hoping that my music comes across in that way and the way I present myself as well. I feel like I want people to be comfortable speaking to me and sharing their stories. And um, that's honestly why I love music so much, is getting the opportunity to connect with people I maybe wouldn't have gotten to. I think that music is such a wonderful opportunity for people to find, some common ground and some things that they share. So I really enjoy being able to facilitate those kind of connections. So I hope that people will know me for that.
Right. And lyrically, I think you have a lot of songs that are going that people can identify with, right?
Thank you.
So that's really going to be your niche. But I appreciate again you coming and sharing. I hope that maybe we'll talk when your next album comes out,
Thank
and
you so much for
do
having me.
this
It's been such
again.
an honor.
And I appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time out and joining us.
And thank you for reaching out to me too. It was wonderful to hear from you, and I'm so happy we could set this up.
Yeah, and we'll keep in touch.
For sure, we will.
All right. Thank you so much again, Robin.
Thank you. You have a nice
You
day.
too. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, that was Robin Cisek, and I hope you all enjoyed her talk. What I'm going to do as we wrap up is I'm going to play um, her latest release, her latest video, the one that she just released. It's called Play Dirty. Um, she's written, produced, recorded, and is marketing. She's doing all the work this time out. So it's awesome to see a woman who has been able to grab onto what she's passionate about and run with it. Let me see if I can switch this around.